with basketball. She's got all these national championships she's won and done all these great things. I've watched her videos and talked to her before, and had her speak. We had to speak at the CSCTA, I believe, one year. And, but very impressed with Andrea, does a terrific job. And one of the best things last night I found out, she had to wrestle with her brothers. You know, they're all wrestlers up in Pennsylvania. And she was showing me pictures where she was wrestling with some of her players out on the platforms and stuff. But it's just good to have you here. So big hand.
All right, thanks for having me. I'm always humbled to speak and for people to want to hear me speak and what I have to say. So I'm a coach. If you guys have any questions while we're going through this, the more interactive it is, the better I am. So this is for you. So ask questions, please. Just wanted to thank everybody, Mondo and Coach Reed, Nico, and the Cincinnati staff. But also, big shout out to my UConn staff. Coach Ariema asked me to come back to UConn in 2021. I was offered an NBA job. We're gotten paid double, but I chose not to go that route because I like developing athletes and teaching athletes life skills. So Coach Epley's a mentor of mine, Meg Stone, and Dr. Kramer. Dr. Kramer, back in the day when I was in UConn from 1995 to 2004, he was right down the hall. So I could go just knock on his door and ask him some questions, and it was an awesome resource to have. And now he lives back in Stores. So great resource to have. He came to I just got my PhD. He came to my dissertation defense proposal, and it was awesome having him there because he does give you feedback. I'm a lifelong learner. I played volleyball at Maryland, but Coach Ariema recruited me to play basketball at UConn. And the reason behind the passion of what I do is because I was an injured athlete at 15 years old. And that was back in the day, you tear your ACL, and they tape you back up and put you back in. And then you just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. So lifetime of physical trauma with knee injury. But I got my biomechanics degree at UConn. UConn's the second-ranked school, I think, in exercise science, and there's so many resources there that I love it. There's lots of discussion points. Got my MBA at Kansas because money drives the world and needed to learn more about that. And then I just finished my exercise science. As I said, Coach asked me to come back, and I said I would love to come back, but only if I could study our team. So for 4 years straight, I did a longitudinal study with women's basketball. And by the way, there's not no research, but there's very limited research on women in sport, and that's what I want to give back. I work for 3 Hall of Fame coaches. It's not easy. And I have 10 national championships in men's basketball, women's basketball, and soccer. And I coached over 100 athletes that are in the NBA or WNBA. I've also worked with NFL, Olympians, and things like that. But best quote of all time, because when I have questions about what we're doing training, is we don't rise to our level of expectations, we fall to our level of training. So Coach Ariema said, load management. I don't care about load management. Well, I do. I was an injured athlete, right? So he is going to train you to try to be the best that you can. And it's not easy because you can't predict injuries, right? So I created a long-term management system with Tableau. Are you familiar with Tableau? It's a data visualization software that you can add some different statistics and write code in it. So 4-year epidemiological study. So I studied the injuries and why those injuries were happening, and we've had a lot. On my dissertation committee, I had an ACL expert, that's Julie Berlin right there. I had a biomedical engineer. I had a tendon expert. I am a student, or was a student in the Corey Stringer Institute, so that's heat tolerance. So there's a lot of, it's an athletic training type of major. Dr. Kramer, he was there, he was not on my committee, and then I had a guy that helped with data visualization. But ththese are my interns and my staff. He was an undergrad for 4 years in data science, and we started together. So David just graduated, I graduated. Paige is now with the San Antonio Spurs, and John works in soccer now. But this was my staff that we kind of came together with. It didn't cost any money, it was just give and take in terms of leadership and education. We looked at the cumulative impact load on cartilage synthesis, so we actually had blood draws on our athletes during the season, my second year there, because I knew there was an issue, right? The biggest indicator of an injury is a previous injury, and if anybody here works in basketball, men's or women's, these athletes are coming and they're already injured, okay? It could be just a sprained ankle that they never took care of, and we'll find it, or there'll be an expression later. So we looked at that. I'll show you that. We looked at external load metrics versus internal balance metrics. We looked at force output and menstrual cycle, and we looked at sleep, and we used Oura rings and Sparta force plates and machine learned. There were only 5 consistent athletes that have sleep data, but in those 5 athletes, we found that the more you slept, the less anterior posterior movement, micro movements you had in a vertical jump. So sleep was really important. So I created all these collaborations just by outreach with the business school, with exercise science department. I've had contacts with race car teams and things like that are coming to look to see what we're doing. But my career, I had to make this for my dissertation defense, but my career in a nutshell goes from cellular and muscle physiology all the way through to technological advancements in machine learning with our data. And this is what I created, the monster at UConn. We have our mental health and counseling, sports psychology, health and sports performance. We have our recovery, student-athlete success, research and performance, educational collaborations, nutrition, and return to play. And I'm trying to organize all of this with my little staff that we have. Right? So, being in men's sports for so long, my career is mainly in men's sports, 27 years, and then coming back and just working with women's basketball, these athletes deserve better. They deserve, I just finished working with Paige Becker, who's one of the best women's basketball players out there. She deserved more. I relived my trauma with my knee injuries through what she was doing. She hated the weight room when I walked through the door, but she was in a boot. She had just had ankle surgery, right? Sports medicine, they look at the ligament and they say, oh, she's all right to play. I'm like, that's the last thing that you need to tell a coach, is that an athlete is healthy enough to play without all the testing and the rigorous testing that you need to do. So my philosophy in weight training or performance is whatever works. So we're not tied to one philosophy. Because we get these athletes that are coming in. Some of them have a history of Olympic weightlifting. Some of them do not. Some of them are untrained. Some of them say they have a trainer. So we have to figure out where they are and where to start. I argue that health is very different than performance. Right? Those are two different things. So can we create a cohesive philosophy that works to unite athlete health, performance, leadership, and organizational culture? And the mission to align our systems, everybody's been talking about this today, right? Aligning systems, empowering people, and driving to sustain the elite performance in athletics. So, my leadership pillars are, who are we? What's culture? How do you define culture? And culture, I asked somebody one time and they said it's what we do here. Right? So that's our culture. It's what we do inside our weight room that hopefully leads out to the court, that leads to the training room. You have to be the same person in every room. Who deals with chaos? Everybody. I think everybody deals with chaos. So how can we navigate chaos and create connections within that chaos to be better? And then, can we sustain success through building a robust athlete who's repeatable with their skill set? And this last year, we won national championship, and I would tell you it's the most consistent force production that we've had with all of the testing that we've done. Force production and balance metrics. I would say my leadership is based on relationships. Can I teach the athletes what's important? Can they read their own data and know what's going on and tell me why something is off? I would tell you the critical fluctuations in the data that we see on a day-to-day basis, not all critical fluctuations are red flags, but all critical fluctuations can cause pause, right? So, and I'll show you some examples here that, well, we can look back and say, well, yeah, look right there, the hindsight 2020. So can we predict injuries? No, they're going to happen. So the athlete, what's in the best interest of the student athlete? Okay. Again, how we train them, what they're comfortable doing, but can we push them? And I'm in a culture that the team is greater than the individual. So everybody's willing to give to someone else in our culture. I would argue I've been a part of some pretty cool cultures, but I think UConn women's basketball is one of the best, and that was why I went back. So relationships, you guys know what the golden rule is, treat people how you want to be treated. Well, that's kind of me-centered, right? So I don't want it to be about me, I want it to be about them. One step up from the golden rule is the platinum rule. Treat them how they want to be treated. So you got to get to know them. You got to understand what motivates the athlete and why they're doing what they're doing. Just a warning, I have like 99 slides.
It's okay.
So,
That's cool.
so if anybody has a question, please let me know. My buddy always says you cannot not communicate. So what's that mean? You're always communicating. Body language, words, whatever. You're always communicating. So we're always trying to read. Paige Beckers was unbelievable. She knew what was going on 100 feet from her every time, right? So she knew everything of what was going on around her. So, but, all right, well, you cannot not communicate. Well, can the coaches read the data? I'll tell you, I did all this work, and you know how many times I've met with Coach Ariam about the data? 0. Do you know how many words I shared with him about, because he knows what it means, he knows what it takes to be a champion. There were probably 2 times where I was like, hey, you know, something's going on, but he didn't care because he knew what it meant to win and what it took to win. Hudy, my eye does not match your data. You're right. Because I tell you, he brought me back for a reason. And we'll show you the results. So we have to be an adaptable communicator. Who am I communicating to? Am I communicating to coaches, admin, athlete? That's different in every arena, but it's still the same. It's transparent. Honesty is the most efficient policy. Okay? And that's hard. You know, it's hard to give people bad information. But when we look at it, do we have alignment with the coaches, admin, support staff, nutrition? I put creatine here because I don't know how you guys are, but our medical staff won't prescribe creatine. Do you guys have it? Do you guys give out creatine?
We do not. We cannot. We have to, our athletes have to buy it, and then we recommend how to dose it.
Yeah, there's some schools that prescribe creatine, and then we can buy it for them.